and welcome to this week's look at action and stunts on film and television. How are you? You've done it again. You've made it through another week. Welcome to an action-packed Friday edition where we are in 1987 with Kevin Costner and with Gene Hackman and Sean Young, who's very important in this picture. And the movie is called No Way Out. A real thriller, a good old-fashioned spy thriller. And at the helm, as far as action is concerned, is DIAMOND FARNSWORTH. His father, Richard Farnsworth, a stuntman working in the 40s and 50s, and we're going to take a little look at him as well in an early part of this. But his son, also Richard, but known as Diamond, is responsible for the action on this. A great double, too, for Kevin Costner, even though when you look at the build of the two men, Kevin Costner is quite slight, very fast on his feet, as you'll find out, and Diamond is built like a brick outhouse. A really hefty kind of fella, muscular. What's that word that's used today? Hench. That's what he is. He's proper hench. And in this picture is the editing's superb because the two of them really blend beautifully together. We will start by having a little look at Richard, and that's the senior, and then we'll have a little look at Diamond the junior, because there are a couple of things that I need to correct, as you'll see here.
For an awful lot of years, I've been part of a real special family, the stunt family. I've worked with some real wonderful, talented, and dedicated people. A lot of the work was kind of dangerous and difficult, but it takes a special kind of person, stunts and the gags that made the movies and the television shows what they are today.
So, let's take a look at Diamond in action. This from The Fall Guy. This is a hell of a dismount. Look at that. Oh, man, that's fantastic. Love a good explosion on The Fall Guy. That's a great way to dismount. This is from, what is this from? This is from Meatballs, and he's got to jump 35 feet using an air ram. And when it engages, he's got to go. It's that simple. Running at it, and boom, here he comes. Hey, ooh. Just made the water. Very tricky. Now, this is the other thing about correcting stuff. I was under the impression at the time that we did the First Blood episode that all of the motorbike stuff was done by Buddy Joe Hooker, and it turns out that it wasn't. This is Diamond Farnsworth doubling Sylvester Stallone on First Blood on the motorcycle. I didn't know this. So this particular part of the chase, he turns up a little later in another vehicle. But look, this jump as well, again, I was under the impression it was him. It's not. It is. It's not Buddy Joe Hooker. It is Diamond Farnsworth doing all of this. And I think they then cut to Stallone doing that. Also, in the forest, he's hiding and then coming down, crunch. So all of this sort of stuff, this was all him. And again, credit where credit is due. Transferring to the truck, another one, look. That's him doing that there. Then driving the truck. That's not him. But this arrival of the truck. He's got a very small ramp to hit. Not much room either side. He's got to nail it to get the front wheels up and then through the top of that car. Very impressive. And similarly, on Rambo, doubling Stallone. Very small team. He was coordinator. There's a very small team, so a lot of the people provided had to do a lot of the work. That's Diamond Farnsworth there, so he's playing a role. He plays a number of different pieces in this, and there's Stallone behind him, who then does him with a knife. This sequence here, 7,500 tons of gasoline, as it's referred to, petrol, brought up by donkey to the location. And as that drops and everything explodes, it is Diamond Farnsworth that is diving from the edge of the cliff into the water. It's a hell of an explosion. Look at this. And that's him there. Very, very impressive stuff. But again, this is all news, you know, so this is him jumping down from cliff to cliff. Do the old two-man switch here, look. So that's Diamond Farnsworth jumping down from cliff to cliff, jumps behind the next one, comes down there, and Stallone pops out. Really old-school stuff, nice and simple. So, takes on the coordinating job of No Way Out, and this is the rescue at sea, and this is done in New Zealand, in point of fact. And this is the only part of the picture, I believe, that Diamond Farnsworth isn't directly involved with. And they're chucking... Now, this may be... I don't think this is physically at sea, but this is... Look at the amount of water here. Thousands of gallons, possibly a tip tank on a studio. I'm still not convinced. But the guy going over the side is really being hit by thousands of gallons of water, and it's not done yet. Here comes the next lot pouring in. Gives him a proper soaking. Now, I believe that this is the stunt coordinator in the New Zealand section, which is Peter Bell. If I'm wrong, I will correct it later on, for that is the reason for doing this in the first place. But then you've got to look at Costner. And Costner, and very clearly him, huge amount of physicality. That's the one thing in this movie that you just can't doubt. His physicality about being right there in the thick of the action, and to run along here into all of this water and wind and everything that's been thrown at him, and to be hit by a serious amount of water, which is going to be done there, and eventually that one will then knock him one side to the other. And he ends up over here, look. Now, you could... Again, you've got to hit your marks. You can't just hope for the best. That camera needs to be there for a reason, because that's where the direction is going to take him. So, a huge amount of water. And again, I'm not entirely convinced if this is actually at sea. I doubt. I think these are studio shots, and that's a tip tank, and that's a model or a set that's been built. But your man here, I believe Peter Bell, still hanging upside down, trapped by his bootlaces on the side of this. Costner's got to get to him, grab hold of him, whilst all of this water is flying everywhere. Got to get him over the other side and take him back to safety. So there's a great deal to take in. And action-wise, it kind of sets up the rest of the stuff, because in the opening sequence, where he is selected for the job, this particular assignment is mentioned. Susan's death. Susan is Sean Young. She's the character. This is what happens in the...
What's that? You tell me. No! Tell me who it is!
It's not a pig like you!
Split into a number of sections. This is Sean Young doing the first part, and that'll be a fall into a box rig that's probably just there behind her. Then Donna Evans takes over to do the high part of the fall, and then Sean is now on the ground, and the camera is zooming away from her, giving the impression that she is falling away from camera. So lots of camera trickery going on. Then cuts to Donna falling through the table onto the floor, and then Sean for the close-up. So all done really cleverly. Clever stuff, that. Taken from The Omen, I believe, the idea of that. Nicely done. The foot chase, the car chase, it's mostly in full. I've had to leave a lot of it because there's masses of it. But everybody you see on the road here, all the drivers, all stunt people. All stunt people. They will be what's referred to as ND drivers. They need to be there at the right place because they don't move. But the lead actor or the lead stunt driver will. Kevin's doing a lot of his own driving. Didn't have his specs on, apparently, or didn't have his right contact lenses in. He needs to pull forward and slide in front of this car, which Diamond Farnsworth will now do for him. Speeds past, hits the anchors, slides, and look, sliding into camera, and you've got to hit your mark, and it stops. Ooh, I'm not even sure it stops. I think it might even go over the top of the camera. But they saved the shot anyway. Now a foot chase, and Costner is, well, to say he's agile is an understatement. That boy can run. Look at him go. And this is what this is all about. Running away, chasing, can't be caught, jumps into the tree. That's Farnsworth up there. And then he's got to do it in a couple of ways. He just starts to lose his balance, spots his landing, and goes. There, let's go. Drops through the branch. And then Costner does the rest, coming through shot. He's got about 10 feet, probably. And landing in a landing area, a porta pit. But look, I don't think he's acting. I think he's genuinely going, oh, Jesus, that hurt. And then lies back down again. But, of course, has to continue the chase. It's cut away to these boys who are now trying to get down to where it was. They're going to have to jump across some roofs here. Over and down. Again, you don't get actors doing that. That's stunt people. That's a real roof. And there's not a very big team on this either. Jumping down, and then again more chase, over fences, up streets, pushing people out of the way. It's all been set up. Farnsworth has done all of this, and this is leading up to, I suppose, the major gag in this sequence, which is the car knockdown, and it has to look convincing, and they've done it in a very special way. So coming around the corner, that's Diamond Farnsworth there doubling. Look at the shoulders, huge, broad shoulders, but nevertheless, he comes up. He will take the full blow here by jumping up onto the car, just missing the front of it, just jumping up onto the front of the car. Then Kevin Costner takes over a version, but that car, I think, is going from stationary to moving to stop, as opposed to rolling into shot, and that's very clearly him, and he will land on pads that are down here out of sight. There, and then will continue the foot chase and will run on. But there is a take of Diamond doing the whole thing from start to finish, and Costner going, I need to do some of this. Well, okay, but you don't need to do all of it. And the dismount is clearly, from an actor's point of view, the most important thing to do here. So again, lots of running. I don't know how many takes this took, but you know, he's still at full tilt. He's running up flights of stairs, big spaces. Always wanted to do this, right? Who hasn't? Down they go. Lovely. People have tried to do that on the London Underground, and it's ended in tears. They've also done this on a number of occasions. Jumping over. Again, probably a lot of ND stunt people knocking about just in case. And then he's into the train. Keeping an eye out for those who are still coming. This guy, look, Steve Kelso in the cap and the grey top. Why? Because he gets hooched over the side of the banister and down the other side. Now, I've run the clip on, so that's him getting on the train. And then when they get to the destination, this is him getting off. And again, run upstairs. And he's not just running up a flight of stairs, he's running up numbers of flights of stairs. Big open space, lots of running here, all running about, the extras moving around, and he's got hurtling up that flight of steps. He's now going to try and find David Bowie's wife, primarily because she's an actress in this picture. Iman, there she is. Takes her out, says, look, they're after you, you've got to get out of here, you've been really kind, but you need to get out of here. Quick, just don't talk, listen to me, get up these stairs. And they're trying to get away. And he can see the guys coming in the distance. So he gets up, he gives her a bit more advice, and he says, oh, by the way, thank you. And then tries to sort this out. Runs down to the banister, over the banister. That's a little box landing rig that he's dived into. Then this, and this takes a bit of hooching. Look, he's got to hurtle him up into the air and chuck him over on his shoulder, and then bury this guy, which again I suspect is Steve Kelso, and drop him into the flowers. You're nicked, mate. And that is game over. It's incredibly important to take a look at this, and I think it's a fascinating film. It doesn't have that many action sequences, but it is gripping from start to finish. And certainly the way in which Diamond has been able to develop the action and just make sure the doubling is spot on every single time is crucial. You have to have everybody in the right place at the right time. You can't second guess anything here, particularly when you're referring to a big actor like Kevin Costner. This was filmed after Untouchables, as I remember, but Untouchables was released first, so that there would be some sort of vehicle, and I think that proved to be the case. I think this is an excellent film. If you haven't seen it, you should do so, and we will also take a little look at the stunt credits at the end. Not many to share, but nevertheless, we'll have a look. And Michael Adams, who's been his wingman for ages, Donna Evans, Richard Farnsworth doing the stuff himself, Diamond, and Steve Kelso. There's probably, as I say, there are probably other drivers on there, other NDs, and he's in the middle of that pile as stunt coordinator Richard Diamond Farnsworth. Second generation, and a real asset to this movie, certainly. So there you go. That is No Way Out from 1987. If you haven't seen that, go and see it. It's an essential movie. It's a really important Kevin Costner as well. I still stand by my statement that says that he is a pioneering member of the acting community for the action business. I don't think you would have Tom Cruises without people like Kevin Costner, and you could see the amount of work that he was putting, physical work that he was putting into that picture there. Well deserved, thoroughly enjoyed that, and hats off to Diamond Farnsworth, some excellent work there, and we will catch up with him again in some other productions, I assume. Now, next week we are going to be taking a look, we're going back in the direction of Top 10. Top 10 is back next week. It's a Bond episode, Top 10 next week, and we're going to be having it with Sam Rogers. Sam Rogers, part of the Bond community, and he's going to be taking me through his Top 10, so don't miss that. Check out the Pod Dojo Network. They're responsible for the podcast, and until next time, it's bye for now.